ahead and call the meeting to order.
Rachel,
Here.
Katie, Sarah,
Here.
Jeff Gorno, James,
Here.
Carrie,
Here.
Jeff Weaver.
Here. If everyone will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the third grade peer-to-peer, and then remain standing for a moment of silences for the Armed Services personnel. Ms. Massey, you have the floor.
All right. I'd like to introduce the North Ohio Elementary peer-to-peer students. A peer buddy is a student volunteer that supports another student in the classroom during lunch, at recess, or in other educational settings to include him or her in activities and model appropriate interactions. These students also take time once a month to learn more about how to support their students they are working with. I'm so proud of their kindness and their willingness to help others. They've done an amazing job so far this year. You ready? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You guys did an excellent job. Thank you for coming in tonight and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you for being peer-to-peer and participating in that program and being a good friend to your peers.
And if you don't mind, we'd like you all to come across the front so we can shake your hands, please.
Good job, bud.
Excellent job. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for helping your friends.
Good job. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for helping your friends. Thanks
Good
for
job.
being
Thank
kind
you.
and a good helper.
Thank you.
Thanks for your kindness.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Thanks for being kind.
Excellent job.
Nice to
Thank
see you.
for coming.
Thanks for being kind and a good helper.
job.
Thank you. Thanks for
Good
looking
job.
out for your
Thank you.
friends.
Excellent. Good job.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Good job.
Thanks for being kind and helping others.
Good job. Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being
Excellent
kind
job.
to others.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Good
being
job.
kind to others. I like your shirt. Thanks for being kind. Thanks for being kind and helping out your friends.
I'm assuming they are.
Do you want, like, good job. Thank you. Mr. Peck, do you want them layered or back in a row?
You know what I think? Just make a little, like, yeah, here, back up this way, back up to the table.
Bradley, want to get a picture?
Come right up here. Turn around and look that way. There you go.
That way though, yeah?
There you go.
Yeah, just don't bump that. We'll be all right.
Please.
Don't bump it, it's the timer. We've been here an hour.
Hey, North Ohio.
Everybody look for it.
Come on, guys. Nice job.
All right. Thank you.
Nice job.
Moms and Dad, we'll take a quick couple-minute break if you guys want to go home and get the youngsters fed and off
To bed.
off to bed.
That's okay.
Homework first.
Bye, have a good night.
Are there any items to be added or changed to the agenda?
There's that.
We'll move on to correspondence and accommodations. We have a thank you letter to Karen Byer on behalf of the Gaylord High School and the Industrial Technology class for her generous grant donation for the drone program. We have a thank you letter to Laura Percival on behalf of the Gaylord High School and the Industrial Technology class for her generous grant donation for the drone program as well. Acknowledgements and presentations. We have applied technology drone class presentation. Ms. Rommel, you have the floor.
Do you want to come on up?
Yeah, please, come on up. Don't be shy.
All right, so I'm Hannah Rommel, for those of you that don't know. We actually started a new class this year, and actually these are my students. This is Connor Timberly and this is Travis Snow. We started a new program this year at Gaylord High School that I funded fully on grants through the Otsego County Community, or Otsego Community Foundation, as well as the MIC program that's the Laura Percival through with like COP. We have been working really hard. We purchased about $20,000 worth of equipment and curriculum, and we are training a whole crop of students with a 150-hour curriculum to be drone pilots and study and work towards their FAA Part 107 drone certification. So what we are hoping to do is that all of these kids are gonna pass their tests in the spring, and they are gonna be certified drone pilots, which means that they will know all of the laws, they'll be able to know what they're doing, and then they will actually be able to use this as a career opportunity and make money. It's really huge in real estate, it's huge in videography. I mean, our resident videographer here has his drone license, and it's just such a growing field, and to be in the ground floor of it and to be able to get these students trained in it and to be able to get them employable is something that has been very important to me, and this is just one of those things. There are only about 300,000 certified drone pilots in the United States right now, so these kids will definitely be at the beginnings of that, and they will be able to do a lot of good stuff with it. So I have the boys here today to fly one of our little drones. These are just little Tello drones. They're okay to be flown inside. We do have two much bigger drones that we will be working on taking outside, but they will demonstrate for you a little bit of what they do. Don't be afraid, they're not going to fly over your heads. I already told them no. So. Now these ones are actually really cool in that you can put your hand under it, show how it. It won't land unless you tell it to, and it doesn't like to get close to things. So if you put your hand too close to it, except for it was on hand land, but that's okay. But so normally they're supposed to stay above your hand, so they don't want to get close to things. And so that's kind of one of the safety features of these, and you kind of get to have the control. And what he's looking at there is actually like a, what did you say, PlayStation? It's just like just a game controller essentially that hooks to cell phones, and they are able to see everything that the camera is showing right now. We're not recording either, so don't worry about that. And so you can see everywhere that you're going and kind of direct where it is that you're going, and get a good idea of what you can do. So these things are pretty cool. They're just little guys. When we kind of get them all going in the commons, it gets a little nuts because you lose connection and start connecting to other people's drones, and that's kind of funny. But it's really cool, and we're working on getting to those bigger drones, and we're learning a lot.
How many kids are in the program?
I have 22 kids in the program right now.
And how many drones do you have?
I have 10 of these? No. Yeah, we have 10 of these. We had 10 of the ones that they built themselves, which we were going to demonstrate those. And I have 2 of the bigger ones.
Okay. So that's quite a few.
Yeah. Yeah, we worked with a company that, Pittsco, that has been the forefront of the technology. They even set up a course. I did a whole week-long course before I got my pilot's license. So I'm a certified 107 pilot, and that's how I'm able to teach them and let them fly and stuff. But they set up a whole course and curriculum, and it's been very, very cool.
I have mine, but I've never flown one.
No?
You're not a certified 107 pilot.
I am.
Yeah, you have to be.
I took a test. They gave me my license.
Yeah.
And,
No. Right. Anybody have any questions?
no.
All right.
This is great.
Thank you for coming in. and
Yeah,
showing
thanks a
us.
lot. That's pretty cool.
If you guys want to head out now that you're done.
Awesome. Thank Thank you.
We won't hold it against you. Now we will move on to the Jersey Mike's presentation. Mr. Byers, you have the floor.
I'm Dave Byers, and I run the physical training program for the school district, because we do, we have an all-day program during the school, we have an after-school program, and then we started a middle school program too. And what's amazing is a couple years ago, the board took a leap of faith on us and invested greatly in providing an opportunity for the kids after school and during school, and it's really paid dividends. And we're up to almost 600 kids on some type of programmed exercise that is overall health and wellness. And with that, we have a program that allows us to track all the data and everything. And in October, we averaged 3.5 million pounds of weight lifted per week, which is a lot. And so we needed some recovery equipment. We knew that last year, and I went for some grant funding to get massage guns and Normatec compression gear and whatever. And Jersey Mike's went out of their way to step up to, I think, provide the largest single grant funding to us, donation
For athletics,
to our
yeah.
school, athletic fund to the, in the history, around $10,000, I believe it was. I'm not gonna speak anymore, but we wanted to make sure that, and this is Joe Antonek, that's pronounced right?
That was great.
Thank you. And he's Jersey Mike's owner, and it was really, it wasn't just he did it also kind of out of faith on that too, without knowing exactly where that funding was going, and so we invited him in to check it out, and then after that he called and he said, what's coming up, we want to provide some more. And so he even fed our football team before they left on Friday. He brought all of them. He gave them all an option for a full meal, and in each box he even put a gift card for a future meal. So, and that's what he's done. Looking for recognition, but we want to make sure we welcome him to our community. If you get hungry, go to Jersey Mike's. But we would love it if you would proudly display this at the store somewhere. And then we also will be putting this up in our recovery area, and then we made two of these, one for our recovery area, and then one hopefully to go up at your store as well.
Awesome.
So that would be great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The floor is yours.
Great. They put me up after the drone presentation. We wanted to make sure that we were a part of the community, that we were supporting the community that was supporting us. So this was the perfect way to do it. I'm here also to announce that next year, every year, Jersey Mike's franchisees get to pick where we do a month of giving and then also a day of giving. So the month of giving next year for March, any customers can round up their money at the end of their purchase, and all that money goes to Gaylor Schools next year. And the day of giving next year, every dollar that comes into the restaurant. So don't tell too many people. but March 27th, next year, we will be donating every dollar that comes into the restaurant, again, to the Gaylord Public Schools. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for making us a part of the community.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Can we shake your hand? Can you come?
You feel heavy this morning?
Give it back to Dave. He's the strength guy, yeah.
You should put it on the front of your truck.
You're welcome.
Thanks for everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Appreciate
Nice
it.
to see you.
Good to see you.
It's put me down here by myself. I'm in timeout.
Thank you. All right, now Gaylord High School track and cross country, Katie Berkshire and Coach Yates and Coach Warren.
Good thing it's all about Katie, and I don't have to follow Jersey Mike's. So it's fun. Coach Warren's not here, it's just Katie and I.
All right, this gem right here is a heck of an athlete. I'm gonna start with track from last year. She ran the mile about 11 times, took first in all of those meets 7 or 8 times. She was our regional champion, which qualified her for states where she PR'd in that event, 5 minutes and 11 seconds in the mile. Took 10th place. And then in the 3200, she got 5 out of 6 first place every time she ran it. Took second at BNC. Was all state, 3rd place at state, with a time of 11 minutes and 11 seconds for a 2 mile. But it doesn't stop there. That was just last track season. As a freshman, she was the only freshman in the top 10 of the 2 mile. Kind of a big deal. She challenges Coach Warren and I every single practice to challenge her. You know, she is always wanting more. She's so hardworking. Her all-A student. Her studies come first, and she's always running. The day after states, I think she even ran. Then there's this year. She won 8 out of our 10 races. She's the MSU Spartan Invitational champion, the Shepherd Invitational winner. She won our hosted Northern Michigan Cross Country Championship. She's the BNC champion, the regional champion, and she ran at states. Right after state, she was drafted to run in the Meet of Champions, which she's proudly wearing here. And I'm very excited for this track season. Awesome. That is our Katie Berkshire.
Excellent job, Katie. Congratulations, Katie.
Congratulations, keep it up.
All right, we'll move on to personnel. New hires. GIS teacher Christopher Atterbury. North Ohio special education teacher Michaela Reynolds. Food service helpers Teresa Lambert, Renee Mason, Carla Sassy. Educational assistant Josh Moody and Kathleen Morin. And North Ohio latchkey Michelle Solms. 7th grade boys basketball coach Doug Berkshire, Gaylord High School robotics coach Trevor Ducharme. Those are all of our new hires. Do we have any? All right, you have the floor.
Excited to introduce to everybody Michaela Reynolds. Michaela is a high school graduate from Lapeer High School in 2018. Then she went to Central Michigan University where she received her elementary education certification, or she will be receiving that very shortly, and with a special education endorsement in cognitive impairments. She has done her student she will be finishing her student teaching this week at GIS and then heading over to North Ohio directly afterwards. And just very excited to have her passion for kids and her energy at North Ohio. So welcome, Michaela.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Michaela, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you?
Welcome.
Resignations. South Maple teacher Holly Farler. Gaylord High School Secretary Emily Miner. Educational assistants Elizabeth Madonna, Rachel Viu, and Melissa Milne. Food service helper Jessica Schuning, and varsity softball head coach Tony Vaden. Those are all of our resignations. Now move on to public input. Susan Lubart. Topic is support.
You stand over there.
If you come right up here is fine,
Okay.
please.
My first time, so I want to make sure I do it right.
You're doing, let me just, You'll have 3 minutes. Cindy will set a timer. Please, we will not give you any response back. If you have a question, we need to get back with you. We'll either call you or somebody from the school will get back with you.
All right.
You have the floor in 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to speak. I realize you have a difficult task to perform in difficult times, times that require strength, courage, and wisdom. 1 Timothy 2:3 says, I urge you first of all to pray for all people, ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. Pray this way for kings and all who are in authority, so that they can live peaceable and quiet lives marked by godliness and dignity. This is good and pleases God our Savior. I'm going to do what this passage says, to pray for you who are in authority over our schools. Father God, I ask you to give these people the courage, strength, and endurance to take on the challenges they, our children, and our nation now face. Let their voices be strong and unwavering as they speak the truth in love. At this crossroads in America's education, I ask for a reformation and a restoration of morals and values in the hearts and minds of our students, teachers, administrators, and school board members. I thank you that you are a God who hears and answers prayer, and you will not fail us in our time of need, but will restore our schools and the hearts of our children. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Jacobson?
Yeah, hi, and I want to thank the board too. I think this is the new technology that we were talking about at a previous meeting, and I think it's great that people can see these meetings and they can access them when it's convenient. I'm hoping to see agendas and packets. I haven't looked if they're there yet, but I think that's another great thing. It helps to be a little more prepared if the public can see the agenda as well before we come to the meetings. I would like to see the end of comment cards. Most meetings that I attend, and I attend a lot, just allow at some point the audience to, they just ask for public comment from the audience. And I think that's a good practice, especially when meetings are at night and people are incredibly busy. And, sometimes you just can't be here at 6 no matter how hard you try to get here. And we know if we don't have that comment card in, there is no speaking. So I would like to see that change, but I appreciate the recording and the packets going online. The one thing that I'm struck by, and it was ironic that the third graders were here tonight, is at the last meeting, we talked a little bit about third grade reading level. And we know that third grade is critical for reading. And one of the best ways that I've heard this articulated is in third grade, you stop learning to read and you start reading to learn. There's a lot of research that indicates if you can't read by third grade, there is a host of problems waiting for you as you go on in your educational career. And so I really want to encourage the board to look at that. I know we're adopting a new ELA curriculum, but we're lower than the state average of students that are not proficient in third grade reading. We're at, I believe, 31.7%. I believe the state average hovers around the 40s. And that's really, really concerning. And sometimes I feel like at these meetings, I read a lot about ancient Rome, and sometimes I feel like if you give people bread and circuses, they won't revolt. And I feel like we need to get back to the education we're providing in the core subjects of reading, math, science, history, and that can't get lost in all the other great things. And I'm just as guilty as that as everyone else, because I have kids that play sports and love sports and like other things, like video games. Ugh. But we can't take the focus away from that education. So not only do I care about what they read, I care that they can read, and that needs to be a focus going forward. So thank you.
Thank you. And Sheila Simpson.
I wasn't sure what exactly to say, but I always want to be prepared with a comment card. So I thank you, Stephanie, very much for that. I also want to affirm the importance of reading, and it cannot be only on the schools who are dealing with so much. We've got to help parents help their children to learn how to read. So if there are any resources out there and ideas, because we can't just have children coming in who don't know how to read and expect the school to do everything for them. and then wonder why the scores are lower when they're going home to families that aren't encouraging reading. So if there's any way we can combine that effort, that could increase our abilities and our skills for our little ones. I would love to see that, help with that, and help some resources for parents, because the schools, you can't just say the schools have to do it all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have the board minutes from October 23rd, 2023, special board meeting minutes. Treasurer's report. And that is all for the, I got to, so our treasurer's report, general fund and athletic fund bills in the amount of $3 million. Cafeteria fund bills in the amount of $225,000, and sinking fund bills in the amount of $287,000. Now that is the end of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Do we have any questions? Okay.
Rachel?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Jeff Weaver?
Yes. All right, motion carries. Fiscal year 2023 audit report. Joe, you have the floor.
Sure, this is the presentation everyone's been waiting for tonight. I'm Brian Wall from Wyoming KSU. I'm going to report results from the audit for the year ended June 30th, 2023. So the first slide is just the index, goes through how the audit is lined up, the opinion letter, the management discussion analysis highlights, fund highlights, other matters, uniform guidance reports, and then a letter to the board in closing. So the opinion letter, these statements were presented fairly. It's an unmodified opinion. Financial statements are the responsibility of management. Management is required to evaluate whether conditions or events raise substantial doubt about the school district's ability to continue as a going concern. Our responsibility as auditors is to determine whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud, and to issue an opinion on the financial statements. And the audit was conducted in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards, governmental auditing standards, and the uniform guidance. To the financial highlights, the net position increased by $637,583, or 3%. Program revenues accounted for $13.9 million, or 34% of total revenues. General revenues accounted for $27.6 million, or 66% of total revenues. And the general fund reported a positive fund balance of $9.1 million. To the summarized statement of net position. The total assets, $42.9 million. That's made up of current and other assets of $17.4 million, and capital assets net of accumulated depreciation of $25.5 million. Were deferred outflows of resources related to pensions and OPEB of $25.4 million. The liabilities, there were $5.6 million in current liabilities, $70.6 million in long-term liabilities, for a total of $76.2. And then deferred inflows of resources related to pension and OPEB of $13.2 million. For the net position, $25.5 million is net investment in capital assets, $0.1 million restricted, and then negative $46.7 million unrestricted, for a total net position of negative $21.1 million. With the statement of activities. For the program revenue, $1.6 million in charges for services and $12.3 million in grants and categoricals. The general revenue was $13.5 million in property taxes, $13.7 million in state foundation allowance, and then $0.4 million in other, for a total revenue of $41.5 million. For the expenses, $23.4 million in instruction, $11.6 million in support services, $1.8 million food service, $0.9 million in athletics, $0.6 million in student school activities, $1 million in other, and then $1.5 million in depreciation, for total expenses of $40.8 million, and then that change in that position of $0.7 million. Next slide shows a breakdown of the capital assets in comparison to the prior year. There are additions of about 1.25 million for the year ending 2023, and that was largely made up of the early stages of a large HVAC project and the front entrance remodel at the high school. For the fund balances, the general fund had a fund balance of $9,144,884. That increase was largely due to an influx of COVID-19 grant funds, as well as an increase in school aid revenue. Food service decreased to $629,404, and that decrease due to the plan to spend down funds with MDE. Sinking fund, a fund balance of $513,609. That increase primarily due to revenue increasing at a greater rate than the expenditures. Student activity fund decreased to $513,609. Decreased due to revenue increasing slightly less than the expenditures. The debt service fund is now at zero. That was closed out, the debt's been paid off, and the remaining fund balance has been transferred to the general fund. And then the capital projects fund increased primarily due to transfers from the general fund that are associated with past energy savings projects. For the general fund, total assets of $14.8 million, made up of $8.4 million in cash and investments, $5.6 million due from other governments, largely at that point was the July and August state aid payments, and then $747,000 in due from other funds. Total liabilities of $5.6 million. There's $3.6 million in accrued payroll liabilities, $875,000 due to other governments, $953,000 in unearned revenue, and that gets to a fund balance of $9.1 million. Total revenues for the general fund, $39.7 million. Total expenditures of $40 million. Net other financing sources of $320,000. That leads to a net change in fund balance of $486,000 for the general fund. The next slide is a pie chart of where the revenues are coming from for the general fund in comparison to 2022. So 58% of the revenues came from state funds, $22.9 million. 12.7 million, or 32%, came from local. 2.9 came from federal, 7%, and then 1.1 million, 3% was interdistrict. 2023 revenues were a little over $2 million higher than 2022. All categories increased from the prior year. Actual revenues were $203,000 higher than budgeted. This was mainly due to recognizing a higher than anticipated amount of revenue from local sources. The next slide shows a breakdown of the expenditures for the general fund. The expenditures have increased by $3,626,727. This is primarily due to an increased cost associated with wages, benefits, and purchase services. Then a contributing factor is the utilization of those COVID-19 grant funds to address learning loss. Some of the costs are outside of the district's control, such as mandatory retirement payments. Expenditures were $3.627 million, more than 2022, mostly due to increase in costs associated with those wages, benefits, and supplies. Actual expenditures were over budget by $2,286,000. This was mainly due to MIPSR's one-time flow-through payments. For the food services fund, total revenue of $1,456,000, total expenditures of $1,866,000, and then other financing sources or uses of negative $46,000. So that led to a decreased fund balance of $455,000, leaving $629,000 as a fund balance as of June 30th, 2023. For the student school activities fund, total revenue of $534,000, total expenditures of $561,000. So that led to a decrease in fund balance of $27,000, leaving $514,000 in fund balance as of June 30th, 2023. And the debt retirement funds, that fund was closed out as of the end of the year. All debts have been paid, and then the remaining fund balance was transferred to the general fund. Capital projects fund, green fund, no revenues or expenditures in the current year. other financing sources of $24,000, leading to an increase in fund balance of $24,000, and leaving $97,000 in fund balance. The sinking fund had total revenue of $1,779,000, total expenditures of $1,164,000, leading to an increase in fund balance of $615,000, and a fund balance of $1,335,000 as of June 30th, 2023. Other matters, GASB 68, defined benefit pension plans. So back in the 2015 fiscal year, this changed in regards to how school districts were required to report those pension obligations. The districts, as of September 2022, the district's proportionate share of the net pension liability is $66,713,163, and the total plan's net pension liability is approximately $38 billion, so that would be statewide. GASB 75, that's post-employment benefits other than pensions or OPEB. So that changed in 2018 in regards to how the districts are required to report that. So the district's total proportionate share of the net OPEB liability is $3,743,798, and the total plan's liability is approximately $2.1 billion. Upcoming accounting pronouncements, GASB statement number 100, accounting changes and error corrections. It's an amendment of GASB statement 62. It will be effective for the school district's 2024 year end. In GASB statement number 101, compensated absences will be effective for the school district's 2025 year end. Sinking fund compliance, the school district is in compliance with section 1212 of the revised school code for sinking fund. Schedule of findings, questions, costs for our single audit testing. The major program we tested was the Education Stabilization Fund, with total expenditures of $3,508,457. And then for the report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance in accordance with government auditing standards, we have no findings. Report on compliance and on internal control over each major program required by uniform guidance, we had no findings. Now this is a change from prior years. They've moved that finding for the excess fund balance for the food service fund to the letter to the board. We'll get to that in here just a second. Letter to the board, U.S. generally accepted. We performed the audit in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards, governmental auditing standards, and uniform guidance. The audit was completed within the planned scope and timing. Management is responsible for use of appropriate accounting policies. The accounting estimates are based on management's knowledge and experience. The most sensitive estimate was depreciation and the pension and net other post-employment benefit related estimates. We had no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. Management corrected all known misstatements. There was a pass schedule issued for leases, and then no disagreements with management. As I mentioned, the excess fund balance is now reported, instead of a finding, it's now reported in the letter of the board, and that is because that is an NDE requirement, not a federal requirement. They're no longer requiring that to be listed as an audit finding with that excess fund balance. Management signed a representation letter. There's no consultation with other independent accountants, and no discussion outside normal course of professional relationship as a condition of our retention. So I want to thank Joe and the finance team and the board for a great audit. Any questions?
No findings.
Nope.
No findings, and we've corrected our findings from last year, which was just having too much money in our food service account.
There still is excess fund balance. It is being spent down. It was a large decrease, but it's no longer an audit finding for that. It's just reported in the letter to the board.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you,
Joe,
Brian.
and your team, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Joe, and your finance team. Thank you very much, Brian.
Right, if you wanna, you've got a little bit of a drive, so if you wanna go. That's great news. All right, Staff reports, we have Mr. Craycraft is gonna report on the special board meeting, and unfortunately, we didn't have a quorum. Too many of us had to be out, from last Thursday.
So, without a quorum, we reviewed the agenda and our PFN as well as our, building and grounds, reports. And, we also, we had discussion here, in the office, or in the room with, that went over, what's on the agenda.
Okay. Questions? All right, we'll move on to new and unfinished business. We have the summer tax resolution. The annual summer tax resolution. We need to have a motion to approve the 2024 summer tax resolution as presented. That's where we just collect the taxes in the summer so that we have enough money in the bank to cover future expenses, the next year
I'll make
expenses.
a motion to approve the 2024 summer tax resolution.
I'll
As
second.
presented.
I'll
Any
second.
questions? Okay.
Rachel,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Jeff Weaver.
Yes. Fiscal year 2023 audit, we need to have a motion to approve the Gaylord Community Schools fiscal year 2023 audit as presented.
I'll motion to accept the audit as presented.
I'll second it.
Do we have any additional questions for Joe or his staff on that? Okay.
Rachel,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Jeff Weaver.
Yes. Director of Human Resources and Employee Relationship, it is recommended that the board approve the hiring of Mandy Boland, Director of Human Resources and Employee Relations, as presented. So we need to have a motion to approve her.
I'll make a motion to approve Ms. Boland for HR.
I'll second it. Do we have any questions or discussion on this hire?
I think there were.
There was a question at the beginning that I want to address, that currently Mrs. Boland is in the Horizons program, which is sponsored by Michigan Association of School Administrators. She's completed 1 year. After the first year, they're eligible for a certificate. 2 year, after their second year, which she'll finish up here in a couple months, they receive their central office endorsement. The work that she's been doing as a postgraduate with the state of Michigan and Michigan Association of School Administrators, specifically is training her for a central office position.
What's the difference between a central office position and an HR position?
A-
I feel like there's a difference there.
Human resources is part of central office, so you have, we have our central office here in Gaylord, we have a director of curriculum and special education. We also have a superintendent, we have a finance director, and then we have a human resources director, and that's been in place for, I want to say decades.
I understand that we can't go into closed session, so I'm reluctant to, I absolutely don't wanna say anything that, I have issues with the process that I did not know until after we got the information. And,
Would you like me to explain the process?
no, I mean, I know the process.
Oh.
I just don't, I have a problem with the fact that the people that were on the hiring committee were also the references. I think that those people should have recused themselves from the process to make it fair and impartial to the other people that applied. And
Okay.
I think that I have empathy for those people that applied and did not know that, the people that were on the hiring committee were references also.
Okay. Not unusual for people to recuse themselves if they're mentioned as a reference in an interview. But the internal candidate is going to have, people are going to know their record, their work record.
I know, I understand that.
Did you call any other references for anyone?
Actually, we had one candidate that rose to the front, but we reviewed all the letters of recommendation for all candidates.
Okay,
I hear what you're saying, but, and because we didn't have her resume or any of her I mean, obviously, we all know who she is and stuff, but we hadn't seen any of the paperwork on her at Thursday's meeting. That was not in our board books yet, because I was looking for it, and all the other resumes and applications were in there, but I did not see hers in there on Thursday. So that, I had no idea either, and I just,
That was shared with the board, in the board book.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think it was added after Thursday's meeting. I don't know why, but I think it, and that's not uncommon for, you know, but when we just saw it, and then I just saw it today, and again, I agree with Rachel. I
I
thought
know-
it seemed odd that her only references were internal people who, and they were also the people who were on the hiring committee, and I think that's,
Well, the hiring committee consisted of, we had a long-serving principal, we had a union president, we also had the superintendent, the director of curriculum instruction, which would be in special education, as well as the director of finance, and then also the administrative assistants that serve the human resources department as well. We're all, and as well as our executive assistant, because they're all central office employees. It's pretty typical for a panel.
I guess I don't understand why having them as her reference would be, they know her, they're gonna ask her the questions.
Well,
To me, it's not, I think
That's
it's
not unusual.
it's a moot point.
I think it's because Mr. Craycraft was one of her references, and in the interviewing process, you know, you're the head administrator, everybody reports to you, so that if you, how can you be fair and impartial to the other people?
By-
And you had indicated that you had indicated that the interview was above and beyond, which, I mean, it seems implausible that you're going to
You might have,
refute what you're.
you may have missed the.
You've given the reference.
You may have missed the comment when where Mr. Keck, our Director of Curriculum and Special Education, he facilitated the first interview. And I didn't facilitate that.
He's also
he
one of
was
her
one of her
references.
references
Okay,
too.
fair enough.
So, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
bless
it's like, in terms of optics and, conflict of interest, that to me seems like a clear conflict of interest, and to the other applicants that did have HR experience, that would raise a red flag for me if I were somebody else that interviewed that had the experience and it was given internally, and then you find out that the people that were interviewing were also the references, and you're the administrator, you are the, you know, all of their employers. It
Yeah.
seems implausible that they would go against anything you
Well,
wanted.
not unusual for an internal candidate to cite direct supervisors as their reference, but I'd also say that the other candidates did not have the level of experience that Mrs. Bowen has, especially in both secondary and elementary education, which is crucial for hiring somebody who's gonna be screening folks who are gonna be working in secondary and elementary education.
But no HR experience, which was on the,
Well, I would
the
contend that our building principals have significant HR experience. They're managing staffs of 30 or 40. They're very involved in the hiring, and the dismissal, and the evaluation. And not only that, they have experience in negotiating and implementing and following contractual language. So, you know, of all our building leaders, they're probably more qualified than anybody in that pool in terms of being able to do the human resources function for a district.
so you're saying having a master's degree in human resources is not important to the job?
I think
or
it's
not?
important, but also having a master's degree in instructional leadership, as well as postgraduate work in in education is equally as important.
So you followed our process in the hiring process, correct?
We did.
Which has been in development for 15,
Years.
maybe 20 years. I won't say 20, 15 years. So if you follow the process, every candidate's gonna get the same treatment. Some of the questions are gonna be slightly different because things transpire during the interview.
And
Some has a stronger background and whatever, but you're gonna get to it. But everybody, if you follow our process, everybody's gonna be treated the same through the whole thing.
Absolutely.
You don't think that you should have maybe not been a reference or recused yourself from the process?
I didn't realize that I was mentioned as a reference. It makes sense to me as a direct supervisor because I supervise all the principals. But I deferred to the committee during the process and really didn't comment. I listened to the discussion and based on the recommendation. I mean, I led them through, but they fed me the information that, what they thought of the candidates.
And if you weren't listed on, if Jim wasn't listed on there, I think you said Dennis was on there, I don't remember,
That would make sense.
If they weren't listed on there, they still know her, they still have all the experience with her. Would that have made a difference to you right now, just not having somebody else, having John Smith from wherever on there instead of Jim Craycraft?
Well, I think when we had the conversation, you had indicated that there were people with HR experience that were interviewed and were in the running, but her interview was so far and above better.
Her interview and her experience.
That's not what you said. You said her interview. And you
I would
did
say
indicate
both,
that people were, that there were other people with HR experience, which is in the job posting. And, it just, then when I saw the packet that had the top 2 people in our district on the interviewing committee.
Sure.
It
did.
was just shocking to me.
Well, it shouldn't have been.
Because that seems very unfair to the other people that interviewed and that were not offered the job. That did have the requirements on the posting.
Did anybody else who interviewed have any of the hiring committee as a reference? Like, were you the reference for anybody else I mean, you know what I mean? Was it?
The other internal candidate likely would have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A few minutes ago.
Likely would have is not a definitive statement.
Yeah.
Well,
You don't know.
we had one internal candidate who applied, and her director was also on the hiring committee as well.
So a few minutes ago, you said it's not uncommon for someone to recuse themselves if they are a reference in an interview. It didn't occur that we should do that?
No,
At the
no,
moment?
not as a
Okay.
superintendent.
I don't think,
No.
there's no way that our top 2 people could recuse them. How could we hire somebody that works directly under them?
And who better
So
to know their
what you would
track
be
record?
asking to do is, our HR would be, you would be asking a subordinate of theirs to hire them.
No, you could have had other people. You could have had other building administrators. You
But
could
they
have
would
had some
still-
board members that were not involved. Or you could have said, I can't be a reference. Why didn't you say I can't be a reference? Why didn't the curriculum director say, I can't be a reference? Because we have other applicants, and there are other legal, implications here that other applicants, may have been passed over, maybe
I applied for positions in the past and in a district where I was a building principal, and my superintendent who was on that hiring committee was a reference. I mean, that's not uncommon. I mean, who better to know their work record and understand not only their work record, but their expertise and their ability to do the job. That may seem foreign to you, not being an educator, but having been in education, that's you know, I felt that the committee arrived at the best decision after a thorough process, and vetted all the candidates and did their job.
So
And I still stand by that decision.
Yeah, and I take you at your word.
Well, thank you.
The other issue that I have is when you posted this, when you talked about this posting, when I think it was in our PFN meeting,
Yeah.
you had indicated that there was going to be a bump up in the posting for the job, the salary, and
Right.
that it would, to make it more in line with other districts and more attractive.
To make it
So-
more in line with our central office salary scale, yes.
So that's not what we're getting. We're getting significant jumps. And while I definitely wanna pay people what they're worth.
Right, me too.
And this is a 2-year contract, it seems that the salary should have been somewhere closer to what was posted, with the opportunity that, you know, after you have some experience, we can talk about
Or you have those
increasing.
certifications
I
you're working
recognize
on.
that, but they're also, with the added duty and the responsibilities, which she's currently making in the district as a principal, we had to make that equitable.
How is that equitable?
Well, with added responsibilities, to take a position with more responsibilities, we're not gonna take a pay cut.
But this is a career move. This is a career move.
Mhm,
This
sure.
is, so this I look at, this is other people's money. It's not our money, it's not our business. This is other people's money.
Understood.
And so this is what is posted. This was a conscious decision to make a career move. If that means potentially taking a pay cut, because I'm sure there's other, you know, other things in sight, other opportunities for advancement beyond HR director, which is fantastic. Sometimes, maybe the decision is you take a step back to go forward. But this is not, we are not in the business of making things equitable. We posted what the salary was, and I understand you
yeah,
can,
understood.
you can negotiate within a framework, but that's not
And we
what
did, within a
happened.
range, yes.
That's not a range. That's at the top end. You went to the top. So
Okay.
that seems, I support your selection, but I
Oh, thank
don't
you.
support what was negotiated. And I feel that we just had a sinking fund, again, I'm one person, so these are my opinions, and just, we just had a sinking fund, that passed. And I thank the community for that, but we have to be good stewards of their money.
Understood.
And it feels, like we're not doing that in this case. And I'm not saying that there wouldn't be future, you know, opportunities to increase that salary, but without the experience at this time, I don't think it's justified.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Rachel,
No.
Sarah,
No,
James.
Yes.
Carrie,
No.
Jeff Weaver.
Yes. Motion does not carry. We have no more public input, and we need one more motion.
a motion to adjourn.
No second.
Rachel,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Thank you all.